Hello and welcome to another edition of the Marketer's Brief podcast. I'm Ad Age senior reporter Phoebe Bain, and today I'll be leading our weekly discussion about the marketing news and trends that have the industry talking. If you've ever opened Instagram to see an influencer standing in front of a bright pink moving truck, you're already familiar with Piece of Cake. If not, here's the backstory. The moving company launched in 2018 with the purchase of one truck for $20,000. Since then, the company claims to have grown into the fastest growing moving company in the US, with 100,000 moves per year, 800 employees, and 350 trucks. On this episode, we're sitting down with Piece of Cake's CMO, Najah Ayoub, to chat about the brand's influencer marketing strategy and how she keeps the company's growth marketing engines firing. Let's get into it. Hi, Najah. Welcome to the podcast. Thanks for coming on.
Hi, Phoebe. Thank you for having me.
I would love to talk a little bit about your history as a marketer and as a professional before Piece of Cake. How did you end up coming to this role? When was that? Tell me the whole story.
Yeah, it's a great question. I have a very interesting marketing background. I studied business and marketing back in Australia, Sydney. As you can hear from my accent, I'm Australian, although Piece of Cake Moving is headquartered in New York. I worked as a marketer in the tech space, in the B2B tech space, actually. So a lot of event marketing and long cycles of acquisition, as you can imagine, in the B2B space for technology. And then interestingly, actually, before that, I was in the Australian military for 2 years and actually did a deployment in Afghanistan, which I'm very proud of, but also I think plays a big role for me as a marketer and also as a business person, how I see problems and how I seek solutions. So essentially, back in Australia, I was working in marketing. I'd had my experience in the military. I then had an opportunity to come to New York City as a marketing director for an Australian IT company. New York is like a candy shop, I think, for marketers. It's such an exciting city. And when I was here, I had an opportunity of meeting lots of interesting people. I also had an opportunity of being super inspired by the business to consumer marketing landscape, because up to that point I was in B2B. I met the Piece of Cake founder, Vojo Popovic, in 2018. He was really interested in my marketing background, and I could see that his ambition was to build the largest moving company in New York. He recognized the value of having a senior marketer join his team, which most people, I think, when they would start a business, wouldn't maybe necessarily want to hire a senior marketer. Generally, they might want to hire junior people, or marketing seems to be something that people think they can do themselves as opposed to hiring someone, if that makes sense. Like, people think, oh, I can do a bit of marketing, but he really saw the value of hiring a professional marketer. And yeah, he brought me on board in 2018 as one of the founding executives, but my role was much more than just marketing. I sort of oversaw building the financial workflows. I oversaw building the customer success team. I mean, fast forward to today, we have 800 employees, which is insane, from 2018 to 2004. But I guess between me and Vojo Popovic, we're the two leading executives in the company. So that's sort of how I got started in the business.
Amazing. That's a really incredible story. And it sounds like you have a really diverse background. So, okay, when you got started, at what point did the entire influencer marketing plan come into play? Like, was that the first thing the first idea that you brought in? Was that something that was already in operation when you started? Tell me all about that.
Yeah, influencer marketing. I actually think our customers are influencers, even if they don't have social accounts. That's my thought about influencer marketing. I think all of our customers are influencers because the nature of our service is heavily referral based. I mean, when we look at our customer funnel, where they're all coming from, obviously we have net new business, but a lot of customers come from word of mouth. And so I actually see every customer as an influencer, and that's very important to how we create the brand experience, and making sure every customer feels that they can go on and tell their friends and family and their colleagues and every person they know. If someone says, hey, do you know a mover? Like, yes, Piece of Cake. So, but the formal influencer program, when we look at the influencers that have social accounts, we sort of really kicked that off, I think, in 2019. And the power for us with influencers, it's quite interesting. Last year, we completed 100,000 moves, 100 unique moves. Our influencers make up 0.05% of that total customer base, right? So if we're moving on average, say 600 people a day, maybe 2 of them are influencers or 1 is influencer, right? If I look at my like our move data. But the power of influencer marketing, the power of getting influencers to create content is they're able to represent your service, put a story to it that you just can't with your own content, right? The content that as a brand creates, we obviously have a comprehensive content strategy. We do a lot of brand content, but user generated content it's far more powerful because you're in a real home with a real person talking about their real life and their real moving day experience. And as you see with our influencers, we have an array of influencers. We have diversity of all genders, of all nationalities, of all lifestyles. And the power of influencer marketing I saw is that, great, these people in my marketing funnel allow, when I say normal people, non-influencers, to look at their content and be like, oh, I can see myself in that lifestyle. That looks easy. So it's just another layer to our marketing, to our content strategy. I think what we've been really smart at doing is taking that content, obviously having the influencers agree to this, but repurposing content. So we take that content, we repurpose it, we put captions on it, we put it in our meta strategy. So those videos, those reels that you see, the testimonials, we run them as meta ads in our performance marketing strategy. We put them on our website in the booking process when a customer is booking their move and in the process of like closing in conversion, we hit them up with an email saying, hey, here's some referrals, just check out, like, here's another reason why you should move with Piece of Cake, and we'll link them to some of those videos. So yeah, I think the power of the influencer marketing for us has been able to demonstrate our service, repurpose content in our marketing strategy, and give the product and service life through video and photos.
Let's go back a little bit to 2019 or so when, you said that you started this influencer marketing program. At the time, were there other moving companies that were doing, major influencer marketing moves like you guys, or where did the idea come from?
I think there were some other companies doing influencer marketing in our industry, not to the level that I believe we have been able to achieve. I also think that in America, what I saw, and I always look out of industry, I'm not really led by what's happening in my industry. I definitely saw, in like the beauty industry, the power of influencer marketing. So yeah, I think I took inspiration from out of industry and brought that into our influencer marketing program. But again, I see when I just shared with you the numbers, the influencers make up such a small proportion of our total customer base, but they play an important role in content generation in the marketing strategy.
Makes sense. Were there any particular brands that you were inspired by when thinking about how to craft the influencer marketing strategy for Piece of Cake, or pieces of content that you said, wow, I wish we could do something like that for our company? What was really like the inspiration there outside of the beauty industry at large?
I think for me, I really find e.l.f. to be really interesting as a brand, e.l.f. Beauty. I like the way that they leverage influencers, and not necessarily influencers that have to have 1 million plus followers. I think micro influencers are also really powerful. So looking at e.l.f. and looking at some other beauty brands that were tapped into micro influencers in being able to demonstrate their products. And we found that as well. We actually found that it's the micro influencers that get more leverage and more engagement than maybe necessarily influencers with 1 million plus followers. But again, for us, influencer marketing, it allows us to generate user generated content and to use that in the rest of our marketing strategy. But it's one tool of the whole marketing funnel and machine. And I think something we've seen is, obviously, when you start doing something and you're a leader, people want to imitate that and might necessarily get frustrated because they might be like, oh, hold on, why aren't I as big as Piece of Cake? Because I think it's one piece of a whole machine that makes it work. I also find influencers really want to work with us because it's a brand people want to be associated with because of its aesthetics. We're very polished. And we found influencers, maybe they might get a better discount or rate from a competitor who might be trying to imitate our program, but they will come to us because of the association with Piece of Cake. I think there's something in, did you even move if you didn't move with Piece of Cake? Like, was it even a moving day if it wasn't a pink truck in your moving reel?
Absolutely. I think that, a joke that's kind of become commonplace among young New Yorkers who are moving or have moved over the past couple of years is like, oh, I wish I was an influencer. I could move for free. I'm not sure if you guys have ever heard that before, but I've heard people say that on those May 1st, June 1st, et cetera, moving days.
Right.
Is there any merit to that reputation? I mean, is that typically the exchange with influencers? Is it, oh, you fund their move, they get your services for free? Or is there
Um,
typically compensation on top of that? Or is it an affiliate program? I'd love to, hear the realities of the payment structure here.
yeah, interesting. So the way we either give comped moves or we heavily discount moves, we do not pay influencers. Which when I think of that, sometimes when I say that aloud, I'm like, holy crap, we have probably, when you look at the content and that we generate, and it's real content, right? And you see their testimonials and they're leaving their reviews, and it's genuine. It's not forced. It's genuine, and we put that in our program. We say, like, you 100% have to communicate how you genuinely feel. And we have some influencers that maybe move with us and they decide in like mid move, like, actually, you know what, I'm just going to pay. I don't want to leave a review. Like, I don't want to do the content. I'm like, yeah, of course, we never force people to participate in the content part if they don't want to. But yeah, no, we will give a free move based on their follower size, their engagement size, the type of content we've agreed to, or we will discount their move. They also have the opportunity to create with an affiliate program their own moving promo code. So I think this is where I really seen, because I've come from tech, having a tech background, I understand the power of workflows and scalability in being able to make things really efficient. So when we look at our influencer marketing program, it is almost like a machine. We have a collaborations team that takes care of gathering the content, but they inquire for their move, they get their quote, they get sent a clear document that explains their deliverables. We have clear guidelines on when they need to submit content. Some influencers may be journalists, and they might be like, hey, I'm a journalist, can I write an article and backlink to Piece of Cake? And we're like, yeah, that's great, I would love a backlink back to my website for SEO. Some influencers may be TV personalities and maybe like, hey, can I mention you on my show? So we have clear content that we request, but we are always open to different types of content depending on the influencer's influence, really. And yeah, I think surprisingly, we don't offer free moves often, but with the discounted move, we do give a good discount. But we find that a lot of influencers actually don't push back on that. And I think because of the nature of what we're offering, it's very high touch. Piece of Cake is a premium brand that is very accessible. So our rates are very accessible, but as a brand, we are premium. I think influencers understand that this is necessarily, they're not able to promote this, say, as a beauty product. You would get maybe your beauty product from the brand and you can promote it like 20 reels, right? I think with us, it's sort of a one reel, few stories, one post. So they understand that given the nature of how much they can share the content, we can't necessarily give it to them for free, but we've never had any pushback on that. On top of that, we always encourage our influencers. For us, the customer journey is super important, and we always retouch back with our customers, influencers being a part of it, because I know we're talking about that. But we will email influencers through our marketing comms strategy every 3 months, reminding them to share their custom promo code that they developed to their followers. So they create their own custom promo code for the affiliate program and they share it when they post their reel. It allows their followers to save 10% on a local move and 5% on a long distance move. So on our end as a business, because I love data, we're able to track on those promo codes that are generated by influencers, how many leads, how much net new business did influencers generate for us? What's the conversion rate on influencers from leads generated from their followers that use their promo code? So, and we've seen that to be successful. And those influencers that do provide us with a number of referrals actually earn referral commissions as well. So they see the benefit of referring us to their follower base.
So, regarding you were saying that micro influencers you're particularly interested in. Do you have any examples of micro influencers that, have really proved their worth for you in recent moves or in recent deals? And why do you think that is? Like, if you could call out a few influencers with whom your collaborations have been particularly successful and explain, what you think it was about sort of the magic of the content that they created and that person's audience that made it pay off.
Yeah. We move so many, so I'm not going to be able to like necessarily name their tags, but I can name the micro influencers that I've seen to be very successful in terms of the particular style of influencer. So I've noticed in New York has a lot, and obviously we're not just in New York, we're all over the US, but our key hubs are New York, Florida, and LA. That's where we see a lot of the influencers reach out to us. But I would say fitness influencers, surprisingly, so your instructors, your Soul Cycle instructors, your Equinox instructors, your Barry Bootcamp instructors, they create really great content. I think their followers, they might be a micro influencer. I don't know how many followers makes a micro influencer, but I noticed that maybe they're like 20K to 50K. I don't know if that's micro or maybe like 15 to 25. I think their audience is very captive to them. Maybe they're people that go to their class following them. So we find that when they generate codes, we get a lot of return on investment from their codes because they are most likely in front of their audience through their classes. So I believe that's one thing we've found in the data is that fitness influencers seem to have better ROI with their promo codes, which is really interesting. We also find, surprisingly, some of the cooking influencers, we do move a lot of sort of chefs or food bloggers. They also have generated a lot of return on investment with their promo code. But yeah, I can't necessarily call out there was one person that was amazing. I think that the more niche influencers, so yeah, like I was saying, like fitness instructors seem to have a lot of really good engagement. We've had a lot of really good engagement with the return on investment on their promo codes. I think the beauty influencers, or say more lifestyle influencers, that when you look at influencers that have maybe more vague accounts where it's just pretty photos of them, doesn't necessarily mean we don't get good engagement. Like they get a lot of engagement, I believe, on the likes and comments, but not necessarily on the use of their promo code. That's something that we've found to be interesting. And as a business, we've been, hey, just because someone has 1 million followers, and our collaborations team, when they discount the moves, they look into, for influencers, they look at a number of factors. They look at follower count, engagement rates, posts, they'll look at their profiles, they'll look at a few profiles online, they'll look at other brand deals they've done. What we've found is just because someone may look like they have all the really good, 1 million followers, high engagement, doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to get a good ROI with them. So I think the lifestyle influencers, we still do content with them. I think they create really beautiful content, and we repurpose their content, I think, more in our social marketing strategy. But we found with those larger influencers, we don't necessarily think like, oh, wow, this influencer with 3 million followers got us all this business. But again, I think for us, our influencer strategy, it's not like the biggest acquisition for our business is through performance marketing, Google and Meta ads. That is my bread and butter performance marketing, business acquisition funnel.
Okay. So Najah, you were saying that influencer, isn't necessarily part of your growth strategy at Piece of Cake. Could you explain that a little bit and how it works with the marketing funnel?
Yeah, of course. So influencers for us really sit at the top of the marketing funnel where we're able to create really engaging user generated content that is real and honest because they are actually on their moving days and you get to see the real customer experience. However, it is such a small part of our total marketing mix. I think what it does is it allows the general consumer, which is 99% of our customer base, to see an insight on what their marketing day will look like. I would say for us, our marketing mix is really made up of where we're seeing the high conversion, and what's really led to growth is performance marketing. That's Google ads, that's Meta ads, that's TikTok ads, that's even recent investment in Reddit ads, even Pinterest ads, looking at places where people have high search intent for moving. The conversion time between someone searching for a mover and their move date is generally 2 weeks to 1 week before their move. So the influencer marketing, it really helps sort of capture people's attention as well as our branding strategies. But what has really led to our growth is the marketing strategies and tactics that are happening at the bottom of funnel, which I think we've done really amazing at really fine-tuning how we can get strong conversions at the bottom funnel marketing tactics.
So tell me a little bit more about what those bottom of funnel tactics look like.
Yeah, so I think one of our bottom funnel marketing tactics that really works well for service businesses is leveraging existing customers' reviews. When you think about it, when you're searching for a mover or a plumber, you will go online and you're going to Google best movers in my area, best movers with the best reviews, and you're going to go on Yelp and you're going to go on Thumbtack and even Reddit, and you're going to read what people have to say. So we really focus on making sure post move, our feedback team, we have a dedicated customer success team and feedback team, that they capture our customers' reviews. And for the amount of years that we've been in business, I think we have over 10,000 reviews, which is pretty amazing. When we look at other companies in our space that have been around for 30 years, they have maybe 10% of the amount of reviews we have. So I think getting reviews, putting them on the review sites, maintaining your review profiles. It sounds like very unsexy marketing when you think about it, but it's very important marketing, especially when you're in a service business and people really are looking and wanting to read what people's real experiences were of your brand. So that's a huge strategy, I think, investing in your customers' reviews and getting the feedback loop. The other big strategy for us that's helped with our growth has been obviously performance search marketing, in which we invest a lot of dollars and a lot of time and energy there. And that's really trying to learn and understand what are the keywords and search terms that people are searching for when they're looking for movers on Google. And when it comes to Meta and TikTok, what is the content that is going to convert? Another strategy that we invest heavily in, which sort of can sit mid-funnel, is obviously SEO. We invest a lot of dollars in making sure that our content is optimized so we rank 1 for high search terms. So if any point right now you were to go and type in best movers, Piece of Cake will have an ad show up, which
I think that, thinking about SEO and everything right now, it's tough to talk about that without talking about
AI.
Google's recent AI innovations. Yes, you read my mind exactly. What are you guys doing? If you've invested so heavily in SEO and being number 1 on Google's rankings, do you feel like, how has that changed since Google's recent AI innovations with that summary at the top rather than, perhaps a link to your website?
No, that's awesome you've mentioned that. Yeah, we've actually been working with our SEO agency on AI optimization. So we obviously have our tactics and secret sauce, but I think we're all I think a lot of people are trying to figure it out. I think a lot of SEO agencies and experts are trying to figure out how do you make sure that your pages are optimized for AI? And AI isn't just only pulling in what's happening on your website. AI also pulls in what your review pages look like. Because if you go onto an AI tool and you ask AI, let's say you go into ChatGPT and you're like, hey, who are the best movers in New York? It pulls that data based on your website's ranking, based on articles. So your PR strategy, your backlinking strategy, your rankings on review sites. So that's why I think when it comes to AI now, you have to look at the holistic whole strategy of where you're placed. But that's something I just had a call on that today, actually. So we're like, how do we get ahead of this, especially as there's more players coming into the AI space?
Yeah, absolutely. And outside of the more top of funnel things that you guys do, like influencer, are there any other sort of brand marketing activations that you're really excited about or passionate about within the brand right now?
Yeah, we sponsor the New York Knicks, which is super exciting. This is our 2nd year of sponsoring the New York Knicks as their official moving and storage partner and their first moving and storage partner. I think that was a really good move for us, no pun intended, aligning ourselves to a really iconic New York brand as a headquartered New York brand. And we saw that gave our brand a lot of uplift and brand equity. So we've obviously got our Knicks partnership. We also are currently running an out-of-home campaign across the city called What's Your Next Move, where we're inviting the 8 million New Yorkers to think about and question what their next life move is. We actually took 13 of our real customers and photographed them for this campaign where we're highlighting their life moves in the campaign socially. And we have some activations on that. We also have some really exciting and interesting brand activations coming down the funnel with some iconic New York and American brands. And I think that's the fun of building a brand, is a lot of other brands want to do some collaborations with you. And brand collabs, I think, are a really fun way to build more brand equity. But you just have to be really mindful on who you're deciding to do a brand collab and if it makes sense for your customers. But we have a really fun brand collab happening at the end of this year. So, yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on the pod and, sharing all of your tips today and expertise. I think it'll be really fun for everyone to listen to it and learn all about it. Where can people find you and Piece of Cake if they want to follow along in the influencer marketing journey?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you can follow us on all socials. Our handle is Piece of Cake Moving. We're on, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all of it. And our website is mypieceofcakemove.com. We're based across the USA. We offer our moving and storage services all across America. But I think the power of influencer marketing for us has been user-generated content that allows us to demonstrate our products and services. And I see it as one piece of the entire marketing funnel, but an important piece given how people now interact with social media as a search tool as well. Social media is no longer just about consuming content. People go on there to maybe even search for services or that's where people are now searching even more than Google. Some generations, we've found that on TikTok and that's why it's so important to make sure you have your correct hashtags, because people are jumping on those social channels and actually searching for products and services. But yeah, that's where you can follow us. And thank you for having me, Phoebe. It's been great chatting about influencers and our influencer marketing strategy.
That was Najah Ayoub, the Chief Marketing Officer of Piece of Cake, and I'm Phoebe Bain, Senior Reporter at Ad Age. I'd like to thank our producer, Lauren Chiardio, and invite you to subscribe to the Marketer's Brief podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We promise to keep it brief, or at least short enough for your morning coffee. Thanks for tuning in.
Marketer's Brief listeners get $40 off an adage.com subscription. Sharpen your marketing edge and visit adage.com/brief for your discount.